I was standing in front of an immigration officer at Juan Santa Maria International Airport in San Jose. He had my passport, he had documents I'd never seen before, and he had a look on his face that told me everything I'd built over the past 14 months was about to disappear. "Mr. Richardson, you are under investigation for marriage fraud. You have 48 hours to leave Costa Rica. If you do not comply, you will be detained and face criminal charges." My apartment was 30 minutes away. Everything I owned was in that apartment. But the apartment manager had already changed the locks. I wasn't allowed back in. I had $8,200 in my bank account. But when I tried to access it that morning, the screen said account temporarily restricted pending legal review. I stood there in the airport terminal with one carry-on bag, the clothes I was wearing, and a phone that kept showing the same message: insufficient funds. 14 months earlier, I'd arrived at this same airport with $240,000 and a plan for a simple, peaceful retirement. Let me go back to the beginning. My name is David. I'm 57 years old, and I'm about to tell you how I lost everything in a country I thought would save me. The divorce was final in March 2023. 28 years of marriage gone. The house in Coral Gables went to my ex-wife. I got the equity, about $190,000, after the lawyers took their share. I'd been a real estate agent in South Florida for 32 years. Made good money, saved what I could. But at 56, after the divorce, I felt like I'd wasted my life. Florida felt expensive, crowded, and full of reminders of everything I'd lost. I started researching retirement destinations. Somewhere warm, somewhere cheap, somewhere I could find some peace. Costa Rica kept showing up. Beautiful beaches, English speakers, political stability, and the cost of living was maybe half of Florida. I could rent a nice place for $600 a month, live on $2,000 a month, and still have money left over. I sold everything: my car, my furniture, the few things the divorce left me with. I liquidated my small 401k. After penalties and taxes, I walked away with $240,000. It wasn't enough to retire comfortably in the United States. But in Costa Rica, it could last me 20 years if I was careful. I booked a one-way ticket to Liberia and found a small apartment in Tamarindo, right on the Pacific coast. It seemed perfect. The first month was exactly what I'd hoped for. I rented a one-bedroom place 3 blocks from the beach. $700 a month furnished everything I needed. I spent my days walking the beach, trying to learn Spanish, eating at small sodas where a full meal cost $4. I wasn't trying to reinvent myself. I just wanted quiet. It was at a yoga class that I met her. I'd started going to a small studio near my apartment. The instructor was good, patient. She'd correct my form, help me with poses I couldn't quite manage. Her name was Carolina, 38 years old, born in San Jose, moved to Tamarindo 5 years earlier to work in tourism. She managed a small hotel and taught yoga on the side. She spoke perfect English. When she smiled, it felt genuine. We started talking after class. Small talk. Where are you from? How long have you been here? The conversations were easy. She didn't ask about my age or my money. She just seemed interested in me. After the 3rd class, she suggested we get coffee. We sat at a cafe near the beach and talked for 2 hours. About her family, about my divorce, about why people come to Costa Rica looking for something they can't name. Most people who come here, they are running from something, she said. But maybe that is okay. Maybe running is how you find what you are supposed to find. I liked that. I liked her. Over the next 2 months, we spent more time together. Dinners, walks on the beach at sunset. She introduced me to her friends. I felt like I was building a life, not just hiding from my old one. Carolina never asked me for money, never asked for expensive gifts. When we went out, she'd insist on splitting the bill. She had her own life, her own income, her own apartment. The relationship felt balanced. That should have been my first warning. 3 months after we met, Carolina brought up marriage. We were sitting on the beach at sunset. She'd been quieter than usual. Finally she said, "David, I need to ask you something. Do you see a future here, in Costa Rica, with me?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes, I do." She nodded. "Then maybe we should make it official. Get married." I was surprised but not shocked. We'd been talking about long-term plans, about me getting residency. "If we get married," she continued, "your residency process becomes very easy. As my husband, you can apply for temporary residency immediately. No investment requirement, no complicated paperwork." It made sense. I'd been researching the residency options, and they were complicated. But marriage to a Costa Rican citizen was the simplest path. "Are you sure?" I asked. 3 months is fast. She smiled. "In Costa Rica, we do not waste time when we know what we want, and I know I want to build a life with you." We got married 4 weeks later. Small ceremony at the municipality office in Santa Cruz. Her mother and younger brother attended, a few friends, no one from my side. I hadn't told my kids yet. The marriage certificate was in Spanish. Carolina handled all the paperwork, all the translations, all the appointments. She knew the system. I trusted her. That was my second mistake. The first month of marriage was perfect. We moved into a larger apartment together, 2 bedrooms, closer to the beach. I paid the rent, $1,200 a month. Carolina contributed to groceries and utilities. We fell into an easy routine. It felt like the peaceful retirement I'd been searching for. Then her mother called. Carolina took the call in the other room. When she came back, her face was tight with worry. "My mother needs help," she said. "She has a medical situation. The public hospital wait list is 6 months. She needs a private clinic, but it is very expensive." "How expensive?" $22,000. I felt my stomach drop, but I also understood. Healthcare in Costa Rica was complicated. The public system was good but slow. The private system was fast but costly. "What kind of medical situation?" "Heart problem. She needs tests, maybe a procedure. The doctor says it cannot wait." Carolina's eyes were filling with tears. "I would never ask you for this, but I do not have this money, and she is my mother." What was I supposed to say? I'd just married this woman. We were building a life together. Her family was my family now. I transferred the money the next day, $22,000, to an account Carolina said was the clinic's payment system. Her mother had the procedure. Carolina showed me photos from the hospital. Everything seemed legitimate. 2 months later, her younger brother needed help. He wanted to start a small business, a surf shop in Tamarindo. He had the location, the contacts, the business plan. He just needed capital, $35,000. "He will pay you back," Carolina promised, "with interest. This is an investment in family." I was more hesitant this time, but Carolina explained that in Costa Rican culture, family helps family, and if I was part of the family now, this was expected. I transferred the money. The surf shop opened 3 weeks later. I saw it with my own eyes. Boards on the walls, clothing racks, a register. It looked real. Everything was about to collapse, but I didn't know it yet. 4 months into our marriage, Carolina came home with a proposal that would destroy everything. She'd been talking to a friend in real estate development. There was an opportunity to invest in a small boutique hotel project in Nosara, about an hour north. The area was growing. Tourism was increasing. "My family wants to do this together," she said. "My mother, my brother, me. But we need a partner who can provide the main capital, someone we trust." "How much?" $145,000. "You would own 50%. When the hotel is profitable, you get 50% of the profits." I should have said no immediately. I should have hired a lawyer, but Carolina made it sound so reasonable. We were married. This was our future. The property is already selected, she explained. My friend has the permits ready. We just need to finalize the purchase and begin renovations. She showed me photos of the property, a small building near the beach, renderings of what it would look like after renovation, financial projections showing $30,000 annual profit for my share. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe that my retirement could turn into something more than just sitting on a beach waiting to get old. I transferred $145,000 to an account Carolina said was the development company's business account. She gave me documents to sign, partnership agreements, contracts, everything in Spanish. I signed without reading, without translating, without verifying a single word. That was my final mistake. For the first month, everything seemed fine. Carolina would give me updates. The permits were progressing. The architect was finalizing designs. Then the updates stopped. When I asked about the hotel project, Carolina became vague. These things take time in Costa Rica. Be patient. But I noticed other things changing. Carolina started spending more time away. Her phone was always on silent. When I asked where she'd been, she'd give short answers. I tried calling her brother about the surf shop. The number was disconnected. I drove to Nasara to see the hotel property. The building was there, but it was abandoned. No construction, no signs of work. When I asked locals about the project, they looked at me like I was crazy. That's when I started to understand what had happened. I went back to Tamarindo and confronted Carolina. She wasn't home. I waited 4 hours. She never came back. I went to her mother's house in San Jose, the address Carolina had given me. An older woman answered the door. She spoke no English. Through a neighbor who translated, I learned she was not Carolina's mother. She'd never heard of Carolina. The medical procedure story, completely fabricated. I went to the surf shop. It was closed. A sign said for rent. The tenant, Carolina's brother, had stopped paying rent and disappeared. I tried to access the business account where I'd sent the $145,000. It didn't exist. The bank had no record of it. Carolina had taken everything. The money for her mother, the money for her brother, the money for the hotel. $202,000. Gone. But the nightmare was just beginning. I went to a lawyer in San Jose to explore my options. That's when I learned the truth. Carolina was already married to someone else. Our marriage certificate was fraudulent. It had never been properly registered. In the eyes of Costa Rican law, I wasn't married to her at all. This is a common scam, the lawyer explained. They target foreign men, especially older men who are divorced. The marriage gives legitimacy, makes the requests for money seem reasonable. By the time you realize what is happening, they are gone. Can I get my money back? He sighed. You can file a police report, but if she has left the country or is using false identification, it is very difficult. Legal fees alone could be $20,000 or $30,000, with no guarantee of recovery. I filed the police report anyway. The officer took my statement with barely any interest. This happens often, he said. I had $38,000 left. That was it. I thought about staying, trying to rebuild, but then immigration contacted me. Someone had reported my marriage as fraudulent. Immigration opened an investigation. They determined I'd been living in Costa Rica under false pretenses. My residency application, based on the marriage, was invalid. I was given 48 hours to leave. When I tried to go back to my apartment to pack, the manager had already changed the locks. Immigration had instructed him to secure the property. Everything inside was inaccessible until the investigation concluded. I tried to access my bank account to buy a plane ticket. The account was frozen, pending legal review, the bank said. The $8,000 I had left, I couldn't touch it. I spent that night in the San Jose airport, sitting on a bench, watching families come and go. I had one carry-on bag, a phone with 15% battery, and no way home. I called my daughter in Miami. We hadn't spoken in over a year. The divorce had created distance between us. "Dad?" she answered, surprised. "I need help," I said, and I told her everything. She wired me enough money for a plane ticket, $1,100. I boarded a flight the next morning. When I landed in Miami, I had $800 to my name. My daughter let me stay in her spare room. I got a job selling real estate again. But at 57, starting over after losing $240,000, it felt impossible. It has been 8 months since I left Costa Rica. I have saved $14,000. I am working 60-hour weeks. I live in my daughter's spare room and try not to think about the apartment in Tamarindo, the beach walks, the version of my life I thought I was building. I do not blame Costa Rica. The country is beautiful. There are good people there, but I was a target, a divorced man in his 50s with money and loneliness. That combination made me vulnerable to someone who understood exactly what I needed to hear. Carolina was not some random scammer. She was sophisticated, patient. She built trust over months before making her move. The small requests that seemed reasonable, the family obligations that felt culturally appropriate, the business investment that promised purpose. I will probably never see that money again. The police stopped responding. The lawyer said pursuing it further would cost more than I could recover. Carolina, or whatever her real name is, has disappeared. Some days I feel angry. Most days I just feel tired. I thought I was starting over. I thought I was building something new, but I was just dismantling everything I had left. If you are thinking about retiring abroad, about starting over in a place where your money goes further and life feels simpler, I am not going to tell you not to do it. But I will tell you this: go slow, verify everything, keep your money separate, and understand that when you are vulnerable, when you are lonely, you become an easy target for people who see opportunity instead of partnership. I lost $240,000 in 14 months. That is not an exaggeration. Do not let that be you.